Well, Lisa, we've got some pretty unique things here to talk about. Some of them, well, actually all of them I recognize, but only one pile I want to eat. So tell me about this wonderful pile of produce that you have here.
Yeah, so at Sweetbriar College, we have an amazing 26,000 square foot greenhouse that allows us to grow beautiful produce basically year round. So these are all crops that I've harvested from the greenhouse just in the last few days. Yeah.
And then we've got this jar of honey right here.
Yes, so we, in addition to our greenhouse and our outdoor growing areas at Sweetbriar, we also have a 20 hive apiary.
20? Oh
20
my.
hives, that's a lot of bees. They're very busy. Although right now they're really settling in for the winter.
I bet you they are.
But we, with our students, harvest the honey each summer. We then sell it in our bookshop on campus. And in addition to honey, we also make some body care products like lotions and soaps and lip balms.
Exactly.
Which is a really fun way to share our honey harvest with a lot of people.
So, and besides the vegetables, what else do you, and the apiary, what else is at Sweetbriar?
So we also have about 18 acres of wine grapes on Sweetbriar's campus.
Now there's something we can talk about.
So we grow Merlot, Chardonnay, Cabernet Sauvignon, and Cabernet Franc, and we sell those grapes to Virginia wineries so that they can have more Virginia grapes in their total wine composition.
Absolutely. Let's support our professionals. Yes. But you also have a fish tank filled with turf, and that kind of intrigues me. I've had many things in a fish tank, but never turf. So let's get started on talking about lasagna gardening and composting.
So lasagna gardening gets its name because we're basically going to be making layers, like the kinds of layers you would see in a lasagna that you would eat. This process is also often called sheet mulching or sheet composting.
Right.
And some people also call this the lazy gardening method because it is a way that you can really start a new garden bed or a whole new garden, or you can refresh an old gardening area with really not a whole lot of those things that gardeners find so frustrating, the digging, sometimes not even too much weeding.
Yes, the hauling, everything.
The hauling, yes.
Well, you have a pile of cardboard over there, pardon me. Is that our first layer?
That's going to be our first layer. Well, so let's say this is our little sample of the area of the new garden bed we're going to start. And so our first step is typically going to be to mow. If you have a lot of vegetation, you technically could just smush it down, but mowing will help the process along. If you do have some of that pesky wiregrass, or you have a lot of crabgrass in there, you may want to do a little weeding in that case because those are pretty persistent even with a lot of stuff on top.
Yes.
But if we've had a dry year, like we have had a really dry fall.
Yes, we have.
We're going to give it just a little bitty sprinkle.
Need some moisture.
Yes. And then we are going to start our cardboard layer, which is going to help us with our weed suppression. Now, lasagna gardening is something that one person can do on their own, easy peasy, but it also can be a really fun activity for friends or family to get together.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, at Sweetbriar College in my classes, I often will have one group of students working on collecting the leaves, one on maybe chopping up the green material, and then some of them on cleaning up the cardboard, okay? So this is actually cardboard from some of the supplies that come into our greenhouse.
I know that logo very well.
Yes, but we need to get any plastic tape or other labels off of our cardboard before we start to use it in our composting process.
Okay, moving right along.
Yes, so that one's not ripping too easily. I conveniently have some already ripped up over here. So we are going to add in
the cardboard.
A double layer of cardboard.
And this really suppresses a lot of those weeds very quickly.
This is going to suppress a lot of those weeds, okay? And then we are going to water in, give a good water into that cardboard.
And this breaking down.
Yeah.
Yes.
And underneath this cardboard, in addition to suppressing the weeds, it's creating a really nice environment for earthworms and other microbes to start to grow in there.
Oh, wonderful. So what's our next layer?
So our next layer, and there's a little bit of debate about this in the lasagna gardening world. You could either do green or brown.
Green or brown.
I think we're going to start with green.
Green or
today.
nitrogen.
All
Okay.
right, our nitrogen adding layer, which really helps to build the cells of our microbes that are down in the soil. And so we're going to put about 1 inch or 2 inches of
And what people don't know is you have basil in here, so this smells wonderful.
of the green layer, all right? And then we
take
are
this
going
back.
to add in our brown layer, and we want about 3 times as much, and this is our carbon layer. So if we want about 3 times as deep leaves as we have green layer.
And then we put in more green.
Then we could put in more green. You could either leave it with just one set, but if you have plenty of green and brown, you can just keep layering and layering till you use up all the materials that you have.
Tell me real quickly, because we just have a few seconds left. How often do we water this?
So we're going to water it in when we first start it over the winter. This is one reason it's so great to do this over the fall, in the fall for the winter. Hopefully we're getting lots of snow and rain,
Right.
and that is providing the moisture. If it's really drying out, it would be helpful to water it every now and then.
That sounds great. So easy peasy, and I'll call this the lazy man's to compost. Thank you so much, Lisa. This has been great.
Thank you.